Welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. Please hit the thumbs up button and make sure that you're subscribed. This is not my normal format, but I appreciate you supporting my channel and would love to hear your thoughts. Recently, as in a couple of days ago, I was able to go and sit in for a taping of the Dr. Phil show, something I've always wanted to do, and he just recently moved his studios to Texas, and I just found out that his studio is like 15 minutes away from me. So I was able to do that, cross that off the bucket list. Before we went, they told us that one of the tapings we'd be sitting in for was Abby Lee Miller, and as somebody who has watched probably every episode of Dance Moms, I was really excited about that. But they said if there's time, they will do a second taping with the same audience, and we didn't know who that was going to be. But I was very excited to find out that it was Dr. Calley Means. Calley is C-A-L-L-E-Y. Means is M-E-A-N-S, so just how it sounds. But this is somebody who is working with Robert Kennedy Jr., or at least helping promote his ideas about cleaning up our food and making sure that we're essentially not poisoning ourselves to death and holding people accountable who have allowed this to happen for so long. So I'm excited to see when that episode comes out. They said it takes like 4 to 6 weeks for these things to be released. But of course, anything that I tell you will be part of that episode. And I don't think that there's anything that he said in there that he hasn't already said publicly. But two things stood out to me about this Make America Healthy Again agenda. One of the things that he said was that as far as, the stuff that's in our food right now, this generation of kids will be the first in 100, 200 years to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents. And I thought that that was really alarming because throughout history, we've gotten used to seeing the life expectancy of the next generation be longer or increase because we have more access to medicine, we have advancements in the medical field, we know more about disease, we know how to treat disease, we know how to prevent disease, but I found that really interesting, and a lot of that has to do with what's in our food. Essentially, as you may have heard them say already, that we are being poisoned to death. And I know that that sounds really alarmist, but when you look at the disease level, especially in younger and younger people, young adults, kids, teens, that's, the data lines up with that thought that we are not a healthy nation, that the things that we have in our food is banned in so many other countries. I grew up in Canada, and I remember specifically there were foods that I had grown up with, and when I moved to the US when I was a young adult, these things tasted completely differently, and I thought I was losing my mind, but Canada does have higher quality food than we do. I'm not saying they're perfect, not saying that they don't have things to clean up, but I did notice a significant difference. Of course, I didn't know why, didn't really question it, but I can say from personal experience that that's a thing. So I think it's something that we need to really pay attention to. The second thing that he said that really stood out to me was basically the way that with the things that have been allowed to be put in our food, it can essentially be considered a genocide against especially kids of this next generation who are just used to growing up on food that is basically not food. So when we hear so many people who are so concerned about the word genocide, and genocide's happening all over the world, you should be concerned about this. If you are really concerned about saving innocent people, then this is something that should not be political. This should be a unifying issue for everybody to make America healthy again. This is not a Trump thing. This is an American thing. We deserve so much better. And, one of the things that he also said is that the healthcare industry has basically the most profit of any industry in the country. It has the most booming economic impact. I can't remember exactly how he phrased it, but it is one of the ones that's producing the most profit for the country. I wish I could remember how I phrased it, but I used to think, when you would hear people encouraging whoever to go into the medical field because you'll always have a job, you'll never be unemployed, it's guaranteed job security, those kind of things. I just always used to think it was because there was either a nurse shortage or a doctor shortage, or that it was a number of other factors, but I never really thought about it being due to the fact that we're so unhealthy that we need more people in the medical field to address our needs. Another thing that came to mind was this constant attack against Trump for supposedly wanting to make healthcare more expensive or take benefits away from certain people or whatever, which none of that is true. But I think the bigger issue is it's not about affording healthcare, it's about not needing healthcare. I mean, obviously, like, we need our hospitals, we need our doctors, we need health insurance, especially for those catastrophic events or when we're diagnosed with disease that needs a lot of treatment. No one's denying that. But I would rather see us not need those things. I would rather see us be a healthy, active nation and to take power back, because we have the power to change this. We have the power to do something about this, to raise our kids in a healthier country where healthcare is just something that you basically need for those bigger events, but not as a means of just surviving. So I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this, because I think two of the most dangerous things that we have done on this subject is, one, glamorizing unhealthy lifestyles. Like, we've seen different influencers say that, being obese is beautiful. And I'm not shaming anybody that's overweight, because essentially, like, we've all been victims of this system. They put things in our food to make them more addictive, to make us want more of that sugar and that unhealthy stuff. So I'm not shaming anybody, but we cannot glamorize this lifestyle and make it beautiful, make it desirable, and pretend that it's not going to have these massive, devastating implications on our health. Secondly, I think that one of the most dangerous things we've done is politicize this and make it seem like if you are on the right, then the only reason that you support this is because you're on the right, because it's political and not because you actually care about children. And if you're on the left, then you see the truth and you don't have to listen to these things. That's ridiculous. This is something that we should all be unified on together. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I know this is kind of a longer video, but I just found so many things very intriguing about this conversation, and I'm excited to see when this episode comes out, and something that I'm definitely going to be paying more attention to, because I don't know about you guys, but I mean, even as I've seen RFK Jr. talk about these things and Jillian Michaels talk about these things, who was another person that was part of the taping, it's been hard to listen to, because I know that we hear these things and it's like, how do I change that? How do I do anything about that? Like, healthy food is more expensive and all these things, but I think that a lot of us have more power than we think that we do. And it's important, it's crucial that we start listening to these things and not ignore it just because this is under the Trump administration, but pay attention because we owe it to ourselves and to our families and to the next generations. Would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching. Help me get to that 10,000 subscriber mark and subscribe.